everybody, it's Safi and Marco. Dish out on the movies. Today we are doing, not a movie, we are doing a seasonal episode of Chucky. It's season 3 actually, and it's part 2 because it was on several months ago. And this is episode 5, and the title is Death Becomes Her. And you have the 3 kids, the 2 boys and a girl, and they are back. And then you have the White House, you have Chucky, you have a stupid woman in prison who's on death row, who has a lackey
Safi, she escaped.
Well, yeah, but she was on death row. And
okay, Safi.
That's it.
So
we've left off.
Let's get into this episode. Let's not.
Okay, well let's go then.
Let's not dilly dally, like you like to do.
Oh, jeez.
Your little dilly dally reviews.
Yeah, whatever.
This episode, to me, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just because like I'm done with like expecting the show to get better. And I'm done with expecting for any improvements to be made. And it's just like, you just have to settle with the fact that the show's just going to continue sucking. And you're going to have this group of fanboys who just say, oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. And then you're going to have all the rest of the people who are like, yeah, that was bad. And this episode, it was just another bad episode. Barely anything happened.
Oh my God.
There was like this one gay sequence that like overshadowed the entire thing for me. Like,
and you gotta wonder, was that the focus of the episode?
I don't know. Well, it was just so out of nowhere, and it was like at this point they're basically making it like a quota that like every single season that they do, they have to shove their stupid gay relationship stuff in your face over and over and over again in increasingly annoying and retarded ways. And as I said before, I wouldn't like it if I saw Lexi and another guy her age going to a motel and starting to have sex. And so I don't like it with Jake and Devin either. And frankly, that whole sequence just feels like this just demonstrates about a lot of people nowadays how they're so into themselves and they're so narcissistic that like these people have a lot of problems to deal with right now, and instead of doing that, they're stopping off at a motel and having sex with each other because they're so into each other, and it's just sickening. It's like these are not characters that I want to follow. These are not characters that I look up to as like heroes, or as they were calling themselves. They called themselves Final Girls, which is the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
I couldn't believe it.
I
forgot about that. I don't know how I could forget. It's bizarre.
It was really, really bad. And the rest of the episode, like, you could take it or leave it. Like, barely anything happened.
Oh, Marco, that's just not true.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is, Safi. What happened in this episode?
Well, the president gets killed.
That's one scene! Out of all the scenes, that is just one little scene.
Impact on the story.
Yeah, boo-hoo. Like, Devin Sawa, his characters get killed every single season around this point. In season 1, he got killed in the first episode, and then his other character got killed pretty much like around this time. Season 2, around this time, his character got killed after they did the whole exorcism thing or whatever. And so it's like it was very predictable that the president played by him would get killed because none of his characters had been allowed to survive. So that really wasn't surprising or shocking at all. Especially, well, I won't say anything else because that'll spoil that other thing. But but it wasn't surprising to me at all. It just felt like, yeah, okay, now his character in season 3 is killed, yay! Like that one character that was actually interesting and nice to watch. Like, nobody else in the White House is interesting. Like, the stupid kids of
Right.
his. Who cares about them? The wife,
Kids.
who cares about her and her stupid blackmail plot? Who cares about that stupid Secret Service guy with the mustache? Like, I don't care about any of those people at all. Like, at this point, I don't think I care about a single character in the show. Even Chucky. Like, Chucky,
Looks terrible.
he looks terrible, but you know that something's going to happen to where he's going to come back for another season, another movie. There's no sort of, like, I don't know, there's nothing. It's all surface level garbage writing, garbage everything. It's just a garbage show.
Well, I just don't, the way they have everything, I don't know where it's going to go. I mean, you know that he's going to Chucky's going to turn out okay. Something's going to happen because you said, Marco told me yesterday, they have another season scheduled and a movie.
Yeah, or the guy who made the show, he said that he wanted to make another season and then a movie would come out at the same time as the show's coming out, which is really bizarre.
That is bizarre.
That doesn't make sense at all.
No. And so
yeah.
if they have that on the docket, even thinking about it, that it could be a reality, then that means that he's going to be saved. So, but all this other business, they can't bring back a dead human. So, the president, by the way, and it just seemed like, I mean, there's like 3 things in this episode. Maybe one is maybe 4. One is the teenage girl, you know, the teenage boy in the White House, the son, the older son. You know, he figured out that they just were using him to get into the White House. I don't think he knows why exactly. So he's mad at her. Well, they made up. That's one part. Then you have the second part with the love sequence, which to me, I can't imagine.
It also,
Kids.
also we should say, before we destroy that sequence, we should also say that attached to that are some very stupid things. You know, all of a sudden, Devin is like, we should drive. And then Jake is like, we don't have our licenses. And he's like, it can't be too hard. And he already has keys to some random rental car. Where did they get that car? Why aren't they questioning where their teacher is? Are they still able?
I think they know she's dead.
How are they still able to stay in the hotel room and have everything be paid for? What are they eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Well, where are they getting all this money?
Where did they get the money to go to the hotel room and stay in the motel room together? And so then all of a sudden, Devin is driving, and he's not having any problems at all.
Perfectly.
It's just fucking hilarious and so, like, just not real at all. It's so laughable how people could take this show seriously at this point.
And they go
from
point A to point B. How?
You know, usually when you have someone starting out driving in a movie or a show, you always have the cliche part where they're stopping and starting and stopping and starting, and they're not driving very well, and then they get used to it. But in this, it's like all of a sudden, this kid's just magically driving like he's driven like 1,000,000 times before.
Yeah.
And it's so bad. It's like, what the fuck were they thinking with this shit? It's like they know that the fanboys are so stupid that they'll just buy anything that they give them. And then they go to that stupid voodoo doctor who somehow exists in this universe.
Well, how do they know about him? I missed that.
Yeah, we never see them look him up or anything. It's just like, oh, they magically know how to get to this voodoo doctor, like it's a video game, and they have a voodoo doctor icon on their little video game map because, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Well, they know about him somehow because they knew where to go, which was in Georgia.
And they knew
going from that horribly congested area, which I've been in, to Georgia. I don't know if it was Atlanta or another place, but the drive from that point to the Georgia is not easy. for an experienced driver, much less a kid who's never driven in his life. How hard? This is what he says. How hard can it be?
I already said that, Safi.
I mean, my God. And so this is a problem with this show.
You never get stopped either.
Well, that's what I thought was going to happen. I really did.
Yeah, like usually, and it's funny because usually, I will give him credit because usually whenever you have a black character on a show driving in a car, there has always got to be a scene where they get pulled over by the police and they get racially harassed.
But
always.
Young, though. They look young.
Yeah, so that was really surprising because, like, whenever you have that, they just can't resist, like, putting that agenda in there, too. Of, like, see, this is what it's like. Everyone gets stopped all the time. And, and then you have Jake and Devin, little teenagers, and magically they don't get stopped. They just get to go on a little sex romp with each other. And then the voodoo doctor, how do they know which specific doctor to go to who treated Chucky?
I was wondering, you could tell me.
Like, are there any other voodoo doctors except for this plot convenience one that just... Because someone, on our last video, someone, like, acted like we were idiots because, like, oh, obviously he went to the voodoo doctor. It's like, what? How does that make sense at all, though? Like, where did that come from? Like, this is supposed to be, like, a realistic type of universe, the real thing, and you have, like, this random voodoo doctor, and he's got, like, an official office, and it's just, it's stupid. It's so dumb and brain dead and bizarre. And then, on top of that, the doctor's a fucking idiot because he gives them information about another one of his patients after no sort of negotiation except for, like, please, Chucky killed everyone that we love, and, yeah. It's like, that doesn't matter, sorry, like, the doctor isn't supposed to give information about another patient, so that was stupid, too. Right?
Oh, yeah. I just, it was just the whole thing. That's why I couldn't remember. I watched these episodes because I watched another show we'll do later in the middle of the night. I thought, well, but it must have just, this is the problem with the show. I think it happens in every season. They go from one part to another part, and there's no transitioning between the parts. Like this thing where he's never driven, or because he says, how hard can it be? Like that, that sounded like to me he's never driven.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm mistaken, or even if he has driven, it wouldn't have been very much. Not enough to drive. That area is
how do they pay for gas?
Yeah, that's another thing. Where are they getting their money? Did they just have an abundant amount of money that they brought with them that they could pay for their... I mean, they got a hotel.
They have a big piggy bank.
Paying the food. They have to put... Even if they rented a car, they're going to run out of gas. We've rented a car. You have to get gas and put gas in. In fact, when you turn it in,
what about the toll? What about the toll booths? Like, do they have to go through any tolls? Do they have to interact with
the Washington area? That area is so congested.
It's just there's no sort of logic or reasoning in what's going on. It's just everything is like a cartoon, like this is Seed of Chucky or something. It's like, newsflash, everyone hated Seed of Chucky. It was a huge piece of shit. And this show, it went from being like, okay, maybe this could be like the original movies in season 1. It went from that to just completely going Seed of Chucky immediately. And I think that was the biggest mistake of the show, was instead of being grounded in reality like the original movies were, we have to go like full bullshit and full cartoon, and everything is a joke. Everything, and that's another thing too, like, how can you take any of this seriously when everything is such a joke? Like, everything is for laughs. Like, Chucky's whole thing with him dying, like, oh, we still have to have a scene where he's watching a couple of dummy movies like Megan and Dead Silence, and I think the Boy or whatever that one was called, and he's commenting on them like he's Beavis and Butthead, and it's like, this is not good. This is not the Chucky that we know and love. This is shit. Right, Safi?
Yeah.
Wake up, Safi.
I'm awake. God. No, I'm just trying to think. I still can't get over how they don't even have any trouble finding the doctor.
No.
And then what does the doctor tell him? The doctor tells him that Chucky's dying. Why is Chucky dying? Because they did this exorcism, so he has some of that Christian, what would you call it? Something that's made him unable to stay alive.
The doctor specifically calls it Christian cancer.
Yes, he did.
So basically, this is in the mind of the creator that like their exorcism gave Chucky Christian cancer, which is another stupid thing. Like, I don't even think that the guy who created Chucky, I don't even think he knows what cancer is.
No.
Like, I don't even think he knows, like, what it actually is in real life. I just think he's retarded. And, he's just like, oh, yeah, cancer's a thing, and so let's just call it Christian cancer. Like, you might as well have called it Christian AIDS, or Christian infection, or Christian flu. They gave him the Christian flu. Like, wouldn't that be hilarious?
I don't understand how that helps him. So they get in the White House, and since he's in a weakened state, they can destroy him. And how's that going to be all explained? That's what I'm saying. That now that the president's been killed, they're not going to be able to. That's not going to be able to be hidden. And I don't know, the way they have the wife and this, whatever he is, because I don't think he's in the Secret Service. I think he's a private investigator who's gotten cleared to be there. I don't know. That's what I say. I don't know how they're going to get to the next point, and when they do, they're just going to jump to it, and there's not going to be anything in between.
No.
That's how they did this last night.
They just jump around wherever they want to go, whatever they want to do. And the thing is that I would kind of be okay with them jumping around if the actual show was good. But the show isn't even good. Like, the story isn't even entertaining. Nothing is interesting. None of the characters are likable at all. Especially Jake and Devin. Because they're like, oh, who cares about Chucky killing people? Let's stop at a motel and have sex with each other for the first time. Because, we couldn't have done that the whole time in the hotel room. Like, it's just, I hate this show. This show just is the worst. It's like, I don't know.
Well, so anyway, we do have to talk about Chucky calls Jennifer Tilly.
How does he know where to call? Who does he call?
Well, they somehow got it through because, remember, she's got the guard mesmerized.
But where is she?
I don't know.
And how was Chucky able to just randomly call? Like, does he have, like... It doesn't make sense.
No, that's because she has the guards all...
That doesn't matter.
...under her thumb.
But she's not in prison anymore. She's escaped.
Well, I know, but how did he manage to do that? You're right. It's like the whole in-between has been erased.
Yeah.
So you've got another thing where you go from one point to the next with no explanation as to how it happened. So if she escaped, which you're saying she did, where does she go? Is she going to the White House? And I mean, really, it's just, oh God, it's just too much. And then, of course, you have the scene at the very beginning with Lexi and the teenage boy. They reconcile, and somehow she's going to get to go back to the White House to do something. I can't even remember what it was.
Movie night.
Movie night. That's what I thought. And bring those two boys. So they didn't have to do all that crap. Well, I guess they found out Chucky's got, quote, Christian cancer, unquote. But other than that, so what? So anyway, and because the president's dead now, the damage has been done.
The doctor says to not follow Chucky anymore, not do anything about it, and yeah. But so what are they going to do now? They're going to Chucky again.
So how many more episodes?
3 or 4, or I don't know. Let's look up.
Yeah, because I'd like to think, what are they going to do in these next episodes? How is this going to be resolved? The president is dead. It's over.
That doesn't matter.
Well, and so what happens with Chucky? Of course, you know he's going to get well because
Where's the
you know
vice
there's going to be a
president?
movie and another season.
Where's the vice president?
I was going to say, I don't even know who the vice president is. Have they shown who the vice president is?
Maybe.
It'd been a long time ago, last season, or the last part of the season.
I guess there's just 3 left, so 8 episodes total, which is crappy. Yeah. Next episode's called Panic Room. That sounds like the writer's room. What you call the writer's room would just be Panic Room. Because they panic because they don't know what to do because they suck. So yeah.
So I don't know what else to say about
the title. We never talked about the title for this episode.
I don't understand the title.
Death Becomes Her. I mean, I know that's like a movie, or Death Becomes Him.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the Meryl Streep.
Yeah, it's a movie, and I've never seen it before.
I have.
It has Meryl Streep.
Goldie Hawn.
It doesn't look good at all.
It's fair.
It looks like a Netflix type of movie where
it's not Netflix.
It looks like a movie. I mean, where you see it on Netflix and you're like, I'll watch that some rainy day.
I saw it years ago.
It doesn't look like a good movie at all. But like, what's it about?
Witches.
I don't know. I guess because of it, the actress follows suit, but discovers that immortality has a price. So I guess it's because it relates to the themes of Chucky.
Yeah.
Discovering that his immortality has a price, but
the problem is that, in other words, for people to understand the title, if they want to understand the title,
you have to do homework.
They have to know about the movie, and it was so. When was the movie? It was a long time ago.
1992.
So
I wasn't even born.
Yeah,
and neither were Jake and Devin.
Right.
So that's kind of weird.
And Lexi.
Yeah, Lexi's a bitch, so who cares?
Well, she's hardly in the episode. She was only in it very briefly.
Yeah,
at the very beginning.
She gets to have like a little teen romance poo, and like I just think like that's another thing. Like even though I don't like Lexi, she is the best actress out of the main actors, except for Chucky, obviously. But you can measure how good a Chucky episode is by how much or how little of Lexi is in the episode. Because if she's not in the episode very much, who is in the episode? Jake and Devin. Or who are in the episode? It's Jake and Devin. Gross.
Why is it they made such an emphasis on this relationship?
It's like they're
this episode.
They're doing it on purpose.
Well, I don't like it. I don't care. I'm not anti anything.
Nobody likes it.
If Marco said the same thing. If it'd been Lexi and that teenage boy, for example, the president's son,
I'd be just as grossed out.
It never would have happened anyway because of the Secret Service. But still, that isn't why people watch Chucky, is it?
No.
And why? Why are you doing it? Because you don't have anything else better to do or say about Chucky and that whole thing with Jennifer Tilly, all of that. I mean, that's Chucky. It's not the Jake and Devin relationship show.
I mean, and the thing is, too, is that Jake and Devin, ever since season 1, they're literally their only character arc has been to have sex finally. Like, they have, because you think about Jake, he went to that religious school, nothing changed for him. Like, he didn't change at all.
No. Well,
season 3 goes to the White House, nothing changes. The only thing that changes is that he finally has sex with Devin. Devin, nothing changes with him except for he stops doing his podcast, or he's still doing it. I don't even know anymore. But, he goes to the religious school. Nothing about him changes. Then in season 3...
He's young, too. Jake actually is older than him.
Yeah, and then in season 3... Still, nothing about him has changed at all. The only thing for these characters that have changed is that they have sex with each other in this episode. So that's their character arc. Yay! Like, see, these are such great gay characters. their only character arc is that they finally have sex at some point in the show. Wow, that's so progressive and amazing that we see these really deep and developed characters that have arcs and stories and stuff, right?
Yeah,
Right, Safi?
I just wonder, well, what I thought too was, if you're a parent and you have a little kid watching this show, would you have a little kid watching the show?
No.
Probably not. Well, you couldn't. I mean, this would be something
I would
that
let
people complain about on the right.
Yeah, well, I would
I don't want to agree with them at all, but I don't think it has any place in the show.
I would let a child watch every single Chucky movie before I would let them watch this show. And
I just don't understand their focus on that. And then, of course,
yeah.
the president, all that. It's almost like, they have some special effects people, and they showed, after the show airs, they have a special scene, and they get into the whole thing where Chucky attacks the president, and they show everything, how it all works. I mean, it's there's a lot to it. It's probably more to that and behind the scenes that you can't see, because in order to see what you're seeing, you can't see that, because it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't work. And there was so much that went into it. It's almost like they have this available to them. So that's what really the focus is on, but you don't know how that all works, because you don't see it for real. But I mean, there's so much more to a story than just the effects. There's the story. We have been through this over and over again, that you can't put on something that's successful if you don't have the story. And you can't expect the people who are watching it to write the story for you.
Yeah.
Because we're not getting paid. Other people watching it, they're not getting paid to write the story.
Yeah, I'm not just gonna pretend that I know the answers of that one idiot who left the comment last review, who said oh, obviously Chucky's at the voodoo doctor. It's no, there's no obviously. It's the person writing the show is either gonna tell us and it's gonna make sense, or he's not gonna tell us and we're just gonna say fuck you, because I'm not just gonna I'm not filling in the blanks. This isn't a fill in the blank show. There's nothing this isn't Twin Peaks or something where there's mysteries and there's abstractions. No, this is Chucky, and if you can't even fucking handle telling us how the children are able to get all their money and stay in this hotel and eat for 3 meals a day in Washington D.C. and then drive around in a car cross country, having sex with each other in a motel room that they magically paid for, then you can go fuck yourself. This show's the worst. I give it a fuck you. This episode sucks.
I didn't even think about this too, that some hotels, maybe even more than some, they have an age limit about people checking in.
Yeah.
Because my other son, when he was a senior, and he had turned 18. He went on a road trip to South Carolina, and the people at the hotel would not let them stay at that hotel because they were not 21.
Yeah.
And so, my God, these boys are not 21. They're nowhere near it. Jake might be getting up there, but they're still not even, I don't even want to say, but it really irritates me, because we have this and 2 other things that all came out the same night, and we couldn't do everything. So we're doing, what would you call, half of it?
No, and that's another thing. And before you give your grade, which you still haven't given, I'd like to mention that, and Safi would like to mention too, that for some reason they have changed it now to where Chucky and American Horror Story are on at the same time. So they're both on at 10 o'clock. I'm not going to stay up till 10 o'clock to watch a shitty show. Even if it's a good show, like the Capote show that Safi refused to watch for some reason, because she doesn't like Truman Capote.
That's not true.
She wouldn't watch it. And so, but the fact that they put them on at the same time is really, really irritating. Because, like, we were watching Chucky live when it was on at 9 o'clock last year. And so it's really strange that now it's on at 10 o'clock as well. And it's really just like, oh, that's another, like, we're just going to watch them in the morning. So we're not going to contribute to the live viewing numbers, you know. Right? What'd you think of that?
I watched the Chucky show and the American Horror Story in the middle of the night. Just because I'm always awake in the middle of the night, unfortunately. And I said, well, I'll just go ahead and watch them. And if I miss anything, I'll just refresh myself. But I mean, you can't watch both at the same time. And it just gets, so you'd have to watch one, and then the other one you'd have to wait until 11 to watch it. If you could, because sometimes they don't let you. And do it right away. And, you know, I mean, it's just ridiculous to expect that. And I don't know if they're, American Horror Story, wasn't it already on at that time?
Yeah, it was.
So they've stayed consistent with the time, the viewing time.
And that makes sense.
Right. So this other thing, why did they move it up an hour? Was it because of the gay thing? Is that why?
I don't know.
It had to be on later because they either gay and or the violence. Killing the president.
Well, it's still going to be on at 10 o'clock from now on.
But I mean, 9 o'clock, you're still on the cusp of, there's kids still up. So if they put it on at 10, you're really getting out of the kids zone, maybe. So anyway, I just, I saw the work that I saw this after scene where they showed the work that they went into to kill the president, which sounds so awful. But, I mean, they really...
Why?
But the work that they did to make that look what it looked like was unbelievable. So I'll give it a D for that. But all this other stuff was stupid and unnecessary. And then the thing with Jennifer Tilly, that was just a phone call, basically. And
I thought that Tiffany hated Chucky now, or something, right?
He was, remember what happened on the phone call? He was saying, I think I'm just going to turn it all in because I'm really sick. And, she said, no, why don't you give it one last hurrah? That's why I killed the president.
But, I thought she hated him.
I don't know.
I don't understand.
She has a love-hate relationship with him.
Her character's trash, too, by the way.
Back and forth.
She's just like a wild card flip-flopping character, and, yeah.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen now. She's going to go to the White House. I mean, you can't...
Well, what's going to happen to Caroline? Lexi's sister,
that's why that's why they're even involved with this.
Where is she right now? Is she just role-playing Kevin in Home Alone 2, where she's ordering room service and watching the Angels with the Filthy Souls Part 2 or whatever?
She get her money.
Yeah. I guess Chucky gave her demon money or something.
Right? That's what the thing is. It's still, when you bring that up, it's still a thing where you have one point to the next point with nothing in between.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to make it up in your head.
To be fair, I think that's how the writers nowadays, I've seen it tons of times. It doesn't really...
Yes, we've seen it tons
It doesn't really help me, but, I think it's because, these writers, instead of, just writing it all out on the page first, they put every plot point on, a note card, and they organize the note cards as, okay, this thing happens, and then this thing, and so that's kind of they have the plot points that happen, but they don't have anything that's in between.
Right, it's like an outline.
So basically, their outlining is killing the show, I guess. I mean, I don't know if it would help if they would write it out like a normal person would, because, that's why I don't like outlines, is because, you never know how it's going to actually end up when you actually get to writing it. Writing it out and expanding on what are little tiny note cards you never know, like, maybe something could change. Maybe a ton of things could change. And but you're still sticking to those stupid note cards with the stupid plot points on it. Like, I bet, like, the guy who created the show, he had a note card that just said, Jake and Devin, go to motel. Jake and Devin, get a room. Like, I bet that was, like, the primary note card of this episode. That, like, he was like, yeah, I'm really excited about that one. Because, you know, everyone loves Jake and Devin.
Is it, do they think that the people watching it are watching it for that?
No.
Just that?
I don't know.
Nothing else?
I don't know.
I mean, what's the drawing card to the show?
Chucky?
Chucky. And that Brad Dourif, who plays his voice, he does an excellent job. And so, of course, you keep being drawn to that because he's so good, right? But the other stuff is just crap. I'm sorry, Jake and Devin, the actors, but it's crap.
Well, it sucks. They haven't developed their characters.
Yeah, have you ever heard of a character arc? I mean, do you people know anything about writing at all?
Jake's character was interesting in season 1 when he was going to become a killer, and it was like, it was him versus all these other bullies, and it was like, oh, maybe he should become a killer. Like, that was interesting, but they fucked that up. But anyways, I would also like to say, I think we're pretty much done with the review, but I would also like to say I got a Chucky G Fuel because they said that this was blood orange flavor, and I've been waiting for blood orange G Fuel to come back, but it does not taste like the blood orange G Fuel at all. It just tastes like orange juice or some generic like orange, like high C. So it's really not very good, but it's still a lot better than this show. Yeah. Did you like it, Safi? Because
it just tasted like orange Kool-Aid or something.
Yeah, I let
Without
Safi.
very much sugar. I just had a sip. I
let Safi have a shot of it.
I don't drink that stuff, but also the commercials. Marco's been griping about Panera Bread. Well, they were showing 1 million Panera Bread commercials during the show too, and there's a new era in Panera. That's the new slogan. So remember that when you are looking for some of your favorite foods that they have taken off the menu, and when you see that commercial, because
it's a new era.
A new era in Panera.
I think Panera's new era sucks.
So anyway, that's it, everybody. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers, so you can tell us and complain that we don't know anything that we're talking about.
Well, I think it's funny because all the fanboys who pretend that the show is good, they all have to pretend that Jake and Devin is like the cutest thing ever. And so
I don't think they do.
It's funny because like they have to lie and they have to pretend that they actually like that because, you know, they can't say anything bad, because if they do, then they'll get called like homophobic or something. And I don't really I don't really care about getting called that, because it doesn't mean anything anymore. Because people just throw around those kinds of terms constantly, and it has no meaning anymore at all.
Well,
especially when a show sucks this bad.
This is supposed to be about Chucky. It's not supposed to be a show about Jake and Devin's relationship. I'm sorry. It's not supposed to be about Lexi's relationship with anybody. She's worried about her sister. Her sister's younger. Her sister's missing. She doesn't know where she is. And she is all by herself. I mean, we just talked about this. How is she feeding herself? Nobody, I guess she can take care of herself, but really?
Really?
Like, what? She's not even 12. She's like 10 or something. So, I mean, come on. Really?
Yeah.
So get real, people. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.